First off, I just want to say the packaging this thing comes in is quite incredible. This is quite a heavy roll bar and an awkward shape to ship, but Hard Dog does a fantastic job at packaging this thing. I gotta say it's the best packaged package I've ever got from any car part ever. This thing could be tossed off of a cliff and still be fine. I'm struggling with multiple tools to open this thing up.
Alright, so as you guys know, I got the S2000 engine bay pretty much back together now after installing the Ingalls torque damper, and now I'm moving on to the interior and installing my Hard Dog double diagonal roll bar with a harness bar and the seatbelt, OEM seatbelt brackets. I don't have a harness yet, so I'm going to be trying to make the interior work with this double diagonal roll bar and making it look as OEM as possible since I have the time. It's still the middle of winter here in New York. Might as well take my time with it, and I would love to have the factory plastics all back in the car, trimmed perfectly with edge trimming, rubber edge trimming on them. And there's no really other videos on YouTube of someone going through the process to fit the interior back in with this kind of roll bar, because it says online, you know, not compatible with factory roll hoops. No one really does it. No one really takes the time to trim these to make them work. But I'm never going to sell this car. I'm going to take it to the grave with me. So I'm not really worried about going back to stock and taking the roll bar out of the car and putting the plastics back in and all that hassle. So I'm going to be cutting up my interior pieces to work with the roll bar, because once I put that in, it is permanent in the car. I'm never going to take it out. Primarily because you have to cut holes through the frame to put the backing plates on, so that's a permanent modification anyway. I doubt anyone would want to buy an S2000 that has those cuts in the fender and someone yanked the roll bar out. That's just a spot for shit to get inside the frame rails and whatnot. So if the roll bar goes in the car, it should stay in the car for the rest of its life. Alright, so as you guys can see right now, I have some of the interior pulled out. I pulled out this side panel. There's only one like Phillips head screw down here. Of course, pull your seats out first. That's pretty self-explanatory, but you pull this piece out and then you can take the little hooks off that are right here that you can hang groceries from or whatever if you're like 4'9" and drive this car. But that never happens for me, so I took the hooks out. This panel that's right here pops out. This is what the two of them look like right here. You guys should be pretty familiar with what those look like. Took those out on both sides, flipped this little thing down, took the two clips out of this. Now I'm going to be kind of working on getting the center console out and getting the OEM roll hoops out. And I'm not taking the top out, so it's going to be a little tricky. A lot of people just yank the top out, and they have all this room under the tray in the back to access because they're going to put a hard top on. I'm definitely not doing a hard top, so it's going to be a little tricky. It'll be a little interesting to put the top up to, you know, partially to get to the clips in the back there, undo them all, and then keep putting the top up and down to try to get this roll bar in. Alright, so I'm working on getting the center console out. There's two Phillips head screws underneath this that secure the center console plastic piece to the frame. There's a couple screws on each side right here, Phillips heads. There's one on the inside of the center console, right back there behind the trunk release. And then there's four up top here. I think these thread right into the roll hoops. Probably the plastic from the roll hoop goes underneath it. And there's four on top there. Can't really see anything behind the soft top right now, so I'm just going to take these out and see how loose it is. I started making some decent progress here when I stopped filming and just started attacking it. But the key was really to go into the trunk. I did everything up to this point with the soft top fully up. As you can see over here, I took the trunk tray out, and then the piece that goes right above the, the tray where the soft top folds onto. Lots of little hidden plastic clips. There's a couple nuts on the back of the tray that are in here. But what I didn't really understand and what I really couldn't find online was I didn't really know how this center console came out, the rear center console. So there's two bolts underneath this that you have to get to from the trunk. So those bolts I was talking about are located right here and here. And I didn't really need to take those out. There's three bolts above it that secure the, I guess, top part of the rear center console to the tray bucket part that stays fixed on the OEM bulkhead. So you don't really need to take those bottom screws out. You just need to take the three screws out of that, join the piece together there, and then it should pull straight up. That's what was preventing me from pulling it straight up. As you can see back here, there's the passenger side roll hoop still installed in the car. I went ahead and removed the driver's side all the clips to take the tray out, you can pretty much access from underneath behind right here. It's not these white ones, that's for this rear panel, but they do hang down. You can get your finger up in there, a flathead screwdriver, and pop them all out. To get the tray out, this piece right there, I actually angled the front side up and then fed it through the trunk to get it out because I had the soft top up at the time and I couldn't fit it between the roll hoops and the soft top. So I pulled it out straight through the trunk, and this is where we're at right now. I just unbolted the driver's side roll hoop. There's 12mm head bolts that secure it here, right there, and then on the other side 3D access holes. Pretty easy to get the roll hoops out. I also need to take out the gussets on the side. I took out the gusset that covers the window motor here. That is on the floor right there. I still need to take out the passenger side one, take the passenger side roll hoop out. I'm not sure the easiest way to split these apart yet, but I'll get to that. One thing is you want to make sure that your OEM seatbelt does not reel back up very far at all, so put like a clip around it or something. Or what I did is just bolted it back in the OEM seatbelt location so it won't pull out. We're going to go ahead and take the passenger side out now. So to get, this is pretty captive inside there right now, so I'm not sure the easiest way to feed the seatbelt through at the moment. I'll report back when I figure that out. Got to vacuum all these leaves out that have been in here probably 18 years. So as you can see, I still have these side pieces in right now. I am eventually going to pull those out, but don't plan on it this second. Actually, you can see there's only one clip, that little white clip there holding it on. I can just slide this back and it actually separates itself pretty easily from that. But yeah, so this is finally nice to have the top reclined a little bit so I can see what I'm doing now. I'm probably going to remove this completely. There's just 2 screws on the front holding it down to the bulkhead still, so I can access the sending unit on the fuel tank without anything in my way to put the, I have a baffle I'm going to put in there. I'll make a separate video on that. Alright, so it's really actually pretty simple to get the seatbelt out of the roll hoop. Just unbolt it from the car down there and bolt this 14mm head here. And there's actually quite a big cutout through the roll hoop itself to feed the bottom part through. You can pull the roll hoop straight off the car. Alright, so as you can see, I got both gussets out of the sides. I got both roll hoops out of the car. Driver's side's there, passenger side is there. Both pieces of the rear center console are down here. And this is what the car looks like with all that stuff removed. There's lots more room to work with now. I put these little clips on the seatbelt to prevent it from retracting any further. Wish I had a bigger one for this side, but it seems to be holding just fine. Next step, I'm going to be taking out the OEM bulkhead here. And, you know, I don't really need to walk you through that. It's pretty self-explanatory with the bolts that come apart on this car to take that out. 10mm heads, I think that's 12mm back here. To lift this straight up, I'm not going to take the seat belts off. Of course, I got my sensors unplugged, so you know there's just this sensor here, I think, on this seat belt. But other than that, should be straightforward to lift this, at least lift it forward, so I can test fit the bar in the car, mark the holes on this piece that need to be drilled. Then lift the bar back out of the car, drill the holes, come around to the fenders, and drill my slots in the fenders for the backing plates, and get ready to put the OEM bulkhead back in because I'm not going to be running a harness just yet. I'm going to try to fit all the OEM interior back in the car. Well, there's no going back now. That is the, I believe, the driver's side OEM roll hoop, and as you can see, the plastics are not around it, therefore I have split it off. And you guys know this is talked about all over S2KI. Once you do this, it is irreversible. I have ruined the S2000 because these will never, ever be glued back together and work ever again. We're going to try it anyway. So, the way Honda welds these together is, let me just get this back here. So, mechanically, there's only one screw that fastens them together. There's a little self-tapping plastic screw that goes and bites into here, keeps that in. You take that out, and then there's a small 2-inch section that's not fused together. And you can create a little gap there, and then just slowly pry it apart by hand, and the thing will snap all together and instantly snap apart pretty cleanly. This is a very clean job, and it's only like 40 degrees in my garage in the middle of winter right now, so I expected it to fight me a little more. Alright, so Honda never used any glue to join these together, and here's how. So that's the fastener through hole I was talking about, and there's a little, you'll notice there's a little wire that sticks out. Now this runs all the way through this groove, all the way around to right here on the other side. Now Honda, when they welded these together, it's a pretty smart idea. Is this little thin wire, they hooked up each end and ran a lot of amperage through it, got it real hot, so it was like a, a hot wire that got the plastic malleable, and then they took the other hoop and assembled it while there was a fixture holding the roll hoop up in the air. They assembled this with, by hand or with robots around it, and since this wire is hot, there was a process where they brought the two halves together, let them sit there for a second with current still running through the wire. It melted the plastic together in certain areas, and then they let it cool. Once they removed the connections, this is plastic fusion welded together. But I'm going to try to cut this up and put it around the double diagonal roll bar, as you guys know, so stay tuned.